All right, artists, I am here today what am I here today for? Okay, hold on. To have a little heart-to-heart with you and also tackle something that I don't think anyone else has the heart to tell you. It's tough. It really is. It's kind of the art equivalent of getting spinach stuck in between your teeth and no one telling you about it. How's that for a visual? But I think it's essential, more now than ever. I don't want this video to come across as judgy or hard, even though it's gonna be a little bit of tough love. So here we go. I think that step-by-step art tutorials are going to hinder you more than help you succeed. And I know everyone's probably going, but I stand by my statement. And here's why. Recently, I had a YouTube student, reach out to me via DM on Instagram. And she had followed one of my tutorials. I think it was one of my flower ballerina tutorials, something like that. She sent it to me as a picture. She did an amazing job, like better than mine, no joke. But she wanted to show it at a local art gallery. And she wanted to make postcards out of it too, to send to friends, family. But something did not sit right with her about that. And so she messaged me to ask me if I was cool with that. And in that moment, I think that we both realized something. I realized that as an educator and as a teacher, when we do these tutorials, we are not helping somebody become an artist. And sure, you can make the argument that, you learn from copying, which, it's true that all the great masters did this at some point of their academic training. But there's something about getting caught in that copying carousel. You'll just never learn what it's like to find your own voice and find your own path. You will forever be the copy of somebody else. And nobody wants to play second fiddle to the original. Like, who wants that, And you could say, yeah, you know what? Like, I don't want to be a professional. I don't want to be a commercial artist. I don't consider myself an artist or whatever, artist. Everyone can be an artist. This is not an exclusive club. Everyone has it in them. I strongly believe that. If all you do are tutorials and these step-by-step things where you are recreating the style and the technique and the approach of somebody else, you will forever get stuck in being number two. So now I'm sure you're wondering, is following tutorials always a bad idea? And if so, how do we go about doing them in the right way? And the answer is no, but I do have some tips on how to still enjoy them while getting the most out of them. And we're going to delve into that in a little bit. But first I want to tackle one really important thing that can actually have a huge impact on creating more meaningful and more original art. Look beyond your discipline and your medium. Personally, I found that the more diverse the skills I have under my belt, the more tools and the more know-how I have at my disposal when I'm actually creating. It's kind of like being able to speak several languages. And I think, at least, that it makes art richer and more original to have these different perspectives. But what skills are we actually talking about here, and how do we learn these skills? This is where I want to introduce you to the sponsor of today's video, Craftsy. Craftsy is an online community where millions of crafters, makers, and artists, just like us, learn new skills from different disciplines to advance their creativity. It's a really cool resource, which isn't just about art or painting, although they do have that too. In fact, they actually have more than 2,000 classes, from cake decorating and knitting to woodworking and photography. Speaking from personal experience, I find that taking courses on photography and photography lighting has really taught me a lot about light and shadow and how that affects my paintings. Another discipline that I've been really into recently is learning how to make rustic bread. And you'd think that these things would have absolutely nothing to do with art or watercolor painting or whatever your medium of choice is. But that's where you'd be wrong. Enrichment and knowledge transcends beyond the lines that we draw to categorize them. So following a course on Craftsy about how to expose a photo properly, or learning how to knead and braid artisan bread, those things can actually give you a whole range of new skills and new perspectives that trickle into other aspects of your life. Recently, I've been enjoying a course on Craftsy that has really pushed me outside of my comfort zone, and that's been the Baking with Herbs and Spices course. And admittedly, I'm not a pro at bread, but following something like this and really working with my hands on something that's completely different from what I'm used to, being, watercolors and painting and that whole, avenue of creativity has opened my eyes to other possibilities and other ways of experimenting with textures and with my hands in a whole different way. And I've really appreciated that departure from the norm. And my favorite part is how the Craftsy platform also gives you the ability to connect with fellow makers and crafters, to ask questions, to share ideas, and to stay inspired along the way. So you're not just learning from instructors, but becoming part of an active community that supports and helps each other along the way. So if you're interested, you're in luck, because Craftsy is giving the first 1,000 members of our community a full year of premium membership for only, wait for it, $1.49. Seriously, it's a no-brainer. So anyway, thank you so much to Craftsy for partnering with me and for sponsoring this video. And now, back to our regular programming. I have another story for you, since I love stories. There was an artist, mid-20th century artist. His name was Han van Meegeren? Hold on, what was his name? All right, if you're Dutch, please correct me, but I think his name is Han van Meegeren. He was one of the most prolific and one of the most technically gifted forgers in the art world. He could pass them off as originals, and he did. But before you go out into Google and search his name, had you ever heard his name before? I would guess that probably not. And that's because he wasn't a first. He wasn't an original. And it's the same thing. You go to any museum and you see something where it's like very modern or something, where it's like a blue canvas with a white spot on it. And you hear people go, well, I could do that. Yeah, you could, but you didn't. I think the same thing is true for these tutorials. It's like if you copy, if you imitate, it's robbing you of that ability to find that voice, which I think everybody out there has. We all have that ability to express ourselves, no matter what level you're at, no matter how long you've been doing this, no matter what age you are, what you do in life, we all have that ability to do it. I've got a video about finding your own style, which I'll link right here. It takes years to find it, but you'll never get there if you don't get off that train. So with that all said, what do? How do you continue moving forward? Here's where I'm gonna give you some actionable tips to avoid getting sucked into that whole copycat routine. Number 1, always try to remember what you bring to the table. If you're following a step-by-step tutorial, deliberately change at least 3 things. It can be the color, it can be the composition, it can be the medium, it can be the line work. You pick, but change something. And before you freak out, it doesn't have to be super complicated. This is not rocket science, it's not brain surgery, but it is just an exercise to get you more comfortable with making your own decisions. Number 2, follow this channel. Just kidding. Number 2 is give yourself time to step away from social media. Step away from YouTube, step away from Instagram, all that chatter. You will need space for your own voice to come out. Number 3, I know this is going to be hard. It's hard for everyone, but try to trust your own instincts. Just because Mary or Jane or Jenny or Joe are telling you to do things this way doesn't mean that it's the only way. While many teachers mean well and have a ton of experience under their belt, by no means do they always have all the answers. Ultimately, you are the creator of your own work. So don't let outward noise and outward influence overshadow the unique perspective and vision that you bring to the table. In the coming videos, I will be introducing more fundamental topics that give you information on technique and art school theories. So that will help to prompt you and give you the information that you need without having to rely on the safety blanket of someone else's choices, even if they're coming from somebody as wonderful as myself. Wink, wink. In the meantime, to get you started on one thing that I think is fantastic, that I think everybody should learn, which is color temperatures. I'm going to link a video right here so that you can check that out. I don't know. It's getting late. Kids going to be home from school. So I'll see you in the next one. I love you, artists. Don't hate me, but comment below. Love you.